TPE Network. Fun yet informative podcasts.
Hello and welcome to our TV and movie reviews podcast. I'm Hank and I'm joined by Mel. Mel, glad to have you.
Great to be here.
And we are going to be finally reviewing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I cannot tell you how many email messages I've received about this, from Michelle to Chris to Russ and others, and wanting us to get this review done. And I said, you know what? It's time to make it happen. I wanted to give it some breathing room, to be honest with you, just because I after I saw it, I had so many different mixed emotions and such, and I needed some time to kind of process it and let the 12-year-old master of kung fu fanboy comic reader kind of die down a little bit and then put on my critical thinking cap. Well, you ready to get into it?
Yes, please.
Let's do it. When it comes to settings, I liked how they did the parallel from big city to this mystical village of sorts, because it kind of ties in reality and then that mythical world that we see kung fu movies take place in. What about you when it comes to settings?
Nope, I love the setting. I thought I liked the setting of I guess they would call it the third act. But yeah, from the city, the nice hustle and bustle of San Fran to the mythical world in the end. Nice transition, nice settings. Yeah, it worked for me.
And I think everything looked appropriate for when we switched to things, like, so when we're in the city, I thought they did a good job of showing, like, yes, you're in a highly populated, dense city. And then when they went to the village, I thought they did a good job of making that somewhat mysterious, understandable why you don't just run across it, as far as if you're just out and about exploring and stuff, and hey, where are we at now? Oh my goodness, we stumbled onto a magical city. I thought they did a good enough job of saying, this is how come you're not going to find this place, instead of us going, I wonder if anybody's just ever strolled through there by accident. And they were like, no accident there. If you find this city, you are meant to be here.
Yeah, no missing backpackers are going to stumble across it. Yeah, it's on purpose, definitely.
I took a stroll out, and guess what? Let's dig into the meat, which would be the characters. This is what I like when we go character by character and kind of give our opinion. So
Okay.
let's start out with Shang-Chi himself, Simu Liu. When it comes to his character, initially I was super stoked after I watched the movie. But then critical thinking Hank came to the forefront, and there were a lot of things that this character doesn't do and doesn't develop. For my opinion, we'll get into it in problems for that. But I like the character. I think there's plenty of room to move forward with this actor as the character, but I have some reservations on how the character was written in this particular movie. What did you think about him?
He's definitely not a traditional hero. There was some times where it seemed like he was just along for the ride, where everybody else was more, contributed more than he did.
Yes.
But we need him just because they always have that archetype where the person needs to be the everyman, and he wasn't an everyman, so he was already the best of a certain thing. Where Iron Man, for example, you say, oh, he's like us, except he's a smart billionaire. And so, or I guess Captain America. So everybody has these extremes in the Marvel universe that they are, that kind of says what they are. And he's the same. He's Actually, now I have to take that back. Now I think about it, there isn't anybody who's an everyman. You go down a list, and they all have something that none of us can be. We aren't good. We aren't good criminals. We aren't good tech guys. We aren't good. Some of us might not jump on a grenade. you know, at best, we all have a Captain America in us. We at worst we're we're Aquafina's character. So
This has to be done, Mel. Mel backtracking achievement unlocked. I love that. That was great. And you were like, wait a minute, I can just run back this way. Hold on.
talk myself out of my own hot take.
It is always challenging when you lose an argument to yourself. Now you brought her up. So his best friend, portrayed by Aquafina. I absolutely love some aspects of the character, but then the fumbling, bumbling into success stuff, I didn't like. And we'll get to that in problems as well for me.
Then I'll defend her in problems. She worked for me. I have an Aquafina crush, and it's you know I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, I'm glad she's there for
Okay.
most of the movie.
I liked, and don't think I'm being critical as far as overall. I like 90% of what she's doing. There is the 10% where I'm like, okay, the hero probably should have did that, but we'll get to that. All right, Ben Kingsley as Trevor. He's just a weird character, so it's not like he succeeded at anything or failed at anything. It's just such a strange character to present anyway. So I really am indifferent about that character. I don't think you could have messed it up, just being a weird, eccentric lunatic. I don't think you can really mess that up if you're even a decent actor. So I thought he did fine. I just don't really have any kind of hot take on him.
I think they needed to fix their Iron Man 3 problem, which they did. But he was in the movie a little too long for me, which we'll probably mention in problems. But without him, we wouldn't get to the land that no one could stumble into. So they made sure he was necessary.
Yeah. I have a feeling they got there despite him more than because of him.
Exactly.
All right, the sister, Xialing, I believe the character was.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
I had a huge problem with this character. I don't understand how you become better at everything by viewing than training. I'm a former professional fighter, and I'm going to tell you there is absolutely nothing like being in the frying pan. There's no simulation. You're not going to get on Xbox or Quest and do your little, jabby jabs. There's nothing that simulates battling. And a lot of people don't know. And I usually stray from revealing this, but I trained in Kung Fu. I was taught by a grand master of Kung Fu back in the 90s. And there are just things you have to experience with a certified master showing you and interacting with you that you're not going to get from just, I watched Mel throw a spin kick. Now I can do a perfect spin kick in live action. No, it don't work that way for fighting. So I had a lot of issues with the effectiveness of the character.
They could have cleared that up just with just one scene where he had a staff member that helped train her behind her back, and that's it. Just one person with her, so she because and it's not just fighting. There is nothing you can do by just viewing it.
No.
I mean, driving, flying, shooting a gun, everything you need to experience with your hands on it to understand the muscle pressure, the way it feels, get to work around it. Swimming, literally everything you can do with muscle memory or motions, you have to practice and actually do in real life. Like watching it is never going to work. So
No,
yeah,
no. Oh my goodness. All right. Do you want to talk about the mom? I loved her character, by the way.
yeah.
I
We could talk about her. I mean, she's tragic, dead mom character. What can you say? I feel
entirely too soon, even though it's
yeah,
been what, hundreds of years or whatever.
yeah. I feel
Entirely.
like after Agents of Shield and Iron Man and and you name it, the tragic dead mom is kind of
The Marvel trope.
yeah. We've
Uh,
seen it.
We've been there and done that. But love the character, love the actress. And then what about Dad? I felt like and this is what is going to get me in trouble in this review is I felt like the movie should have been called named after the dad because he had more character development. He had more I empathized with his crazy experience and his journey. And yes, a lot of stuff he was doing was absolutely delusional and borderline psychotic, but you understood why he was taking all these crazy measures. And I really thought the movie was more about him than it was about the main character. That's just my opinion, though. But I love the actor that portrayed him. He did a fantastic job of bringing him to life.
Yeah, he was definitely good. I have an issue with him verifying what the demon was saying. He's been around for 4,000 years. It feels like he would have some more knowledge to just believe anything a demon would tell him.
Trust.
Like,
What does Mel always say? Trust and then verify.
yeah, trust and verify. You can't. Oh my god.
You're like, oh, you don't say. Okay, I'm on it. He's so gullible and wants his wife back so bad that he's like, no, you have to believe me. This is what's going on. You're like, okay, crazy guy. But Wenwu is his name, and I really like the character because I felt every step of his journey. I felt it. Like, okay, he meets this woman, changes everything, puts away the rings, and you're just like, yes, this is great. He went dark. That got dark really quick. So, couple other characters, Razor Fist, big meathead. I don't know. What did you think about Razor Fist?
Well, I like his cousin Taserface, and so so that whole family has a
They've got a lot going for them.
yeah. So what can you do? But he did well with what he was supposed to do. You have to have that character in every Marvel movie, and although now that I think about it, in Winter Soldier, I'm not sure if it was Crossbones or the other guy Crossbones was training, but you always need to kind of meathead dragon, so to speak. Well, can't use the word dragon in this movie.
Bad
Dragon,
pun.
dragon is in the second person to the bad guy. Better be specific with my trope naming.
Yes.
It's usually called a dragon, but yeah, can't really call him that here. But yeah, the second person to the bad guy, you always kind of need a meathead, a kind of grunt, so to speak, and he did what he was supposed to do.
All right. Any other characters you want to touch on before we get into wins and problems?
No, I think we're good on that.
Okay. Let's get into some wins, shall we?
Okay.
I thought The whole arc of the dad's motivation, I thought that was a really good win. A well thought out, well conceived on screen, not just through a bunch of words and, oh, here's a little narration. And then I felt like we got to see his journey. What about you?
No, that makes sense. He, like we already touched on, he was one of the best characters and he had good motivation and it was good seeing his journey. We didn't see now that I think about it, we didn't even see him find the rings. And it still did everything it was supposed to do. Like we understood that character, we liked that character, we could sympathize with the character. So everything was great with that character for the most part.
The most part. The mom. I liked how she was nurturing. I liked how she was very formidable. I like the story of them meeting. I liked almost every aspect of that character, and I thought it was really well done, especially when it comes to her putting her life, you know, at risk, well, losing her life for the sake of the family, She did it just really gripped me because I was like, "Oh, that was pretty tough." You knew what was coming, but it was tough to see what we did see anyway on screen. So I thought
uh,
I liked it.
I'm going to add the mom's stuff, the mom's final adventure under problems for me.
Okay, interesting. Okay, fair,
Yeah,
fair,
yes.
fair, fair. I how I liked the comedy of his best friend. I thought that was a very lighthearted way to kind of have some balance in this weird, strange world they built. So you get that this all this frenetic stuff is happening, and then now we're going over there her family's house for dinner, and it's awkward, it's weird, it's real because that's how stuff goes, and we both know that. And I thought that was a good grounded character for the most part until we get to problems.
I could have done without the breakfast scene. I get that we were meant to be grounded in with her family, but that was her family. We already meet his family. Why do we need to meet her family if it's just I get what they needed to do and what they were trying to do, but at the end of the day, when you have those over 2 hour long Marvel movies, for me, every scene matters, and eating breakfast doesn't matter. You might as well put that up there with shawarma. Like 30 minutes into the Avengers, they should have just eaten shawarma. No, they didn't for a reason. So it's just, but once again, this isn't problems. This is wins.
Okay,
So
okay. All right. I liked seeing Abomination, and I always forget Doctor Strange's sidekick. What is his name?
woo.
Woo. I
Yes.
I love that, that funny kind of stuff, but in problems, I'm gonna bring them back up because there's some stuff that doesn't make sense to me, and hopefully you can help me make it make sense.
Uh,
But I like some of the funny stuff. I did like that.
we're gonna add that to another problem with the plot of the
Okay.
movie, but
Fair
that's
enough.
not here nor there.
Fair enough. And then really, like, it was like I was in a time machine. I wanted one thing, and they gave it to me. When I was a kid, I had all these comics. I had all the Master of Kung Fu. Like, I'm one of the only people you'll ever meet that had owned all of them. And so when I was little, I was reading a story, and I remember this cover to this day. This big sumo wrestler is on there, and the caption something like, "Will the master of kung fu be able to survive the impervious sumo?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love that cover as a kid. I loved it as a young adult." And when they said they were making this, I was like, "Oh, please let him be one of the bad guys." Not saying it's him, but in the fighting scenes, we see a big sumo wrestler out there fighting, and little kid Hank just exploded. I was like, they gave me this next level Easter egg that I wanted, that I was so desperate to see. Thank you. I was so ecstatic. Any other wins for you?
I loved the bus scene. Just from
Oh,
start to finish, the
man.
bus scene was one of the best things I've seen in a movie. I put it up there with a lot of people say, even though it's one of my favorite movies, a lot of people say Captain America Winter Soldier, the elevator fight scene, and which it's a good scene, but it's funny is I never think of that when I think of best action scenes. But a lot of people say that's one of the best they've seen in a movie. I put it up there, I guess. So definitely a good one.
Okay, fantastic. I think there were a lot of other just little, pick scenes that you could have that really added to the movie as wins and stuff. I kind of liked how he started to figure out his powers, like his ability, what he can become, who he can become, and stuff. I like that dynamic between him and his dad. Like he really never wanted to give up on him. He knew he needed to try to stop him, but in problems will will be popping back on this again. I'm so sorry, but I have a lot of problems. All right. Any other wins you want to talk about? And then we'll just jump into problems.
The escape, I guess you want to call it, the escape scene when they met the sister and they were fighting and trying to get away through I guess there was a
Scaffolding and stuff.
the bamboo scaffolding. Yes, that
Yes.
was also a good win for
So,
me. I like
that was
the
good.
choreography on that. So yeah, it's a good win for me too.
Okay. All right. Shall we do the problems?
Yes, please.
Let's get it. Okay. Let's start with the main actor himself, Shang-Chi. He really doesn't succeed at anything. He really didn't deliver as the hero. He didn't. He took a journey. He did take a portion of the hero's journey, but other people did it better. It was like Shang-Chi was like, I'm going on the hero's journey, and his best friend was like, hold my beer. She goes on a what some people could say is a bigger, better journey. His dad went on a complete storytelling type journey. Uh, there was just so much that I was like, well, shouldn't he? Nope, he didn't do that. Nope, shouldn't he stop? Nope, he can't do that. No, he's gonna stop his dad. Nope, he didn't do that. He like didn't succeed at anything.
I think the bleeding heart tree huggers out there would probably say that his journey was forgiving his dad, and
Okay,
so
that's
I think
fair.
he did that. But
Okay.
other than that, I have no qualms with that assessment.
'Cause it's like he's got to be able to stop the nope. He's got to be able to stop his dad. Nope. He's got to be able to beat his nope. He couldn't do anything. He was like inept on, and it's not he's inept. It's just like he didn't. Somebody else came in and filled this role. Somebody else comes in and fills that role. And I think that's a real bad problem when you have a character that not everybody's familiar with, and
I mean,
you need to flesh them out more. You know what I mean? Like that could be very concerning going forward.
meanwhile, all of the younger generation would be quick to point out that Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark had the same
Yeah,
journey, but
that's
that's one of my
pretty fair.
favorite movies as kids.
Okay, that's fair.
um, I
I got to give it up. That was fair. That's a fair assessment.
also I think now it's been a while since I really went through the whole thing about the rings with him. But I thought he was kind of not just against his father, but he was also against the rings. Like this shouldn't be here at all. And at the end, he accepted the rings. Is that correct? Was he
You're
anti-rings before when
you're pretty spot on.
Okay. So technically, those two takes are him.
And can
He's
we
like
just say that
he's like
just
Bachelor Hank. He's anti-ring. One more
not bad,
jab.
not bad. Good job. Good job. I'll take my lumps. I'll take them. There's lumps in these mashed potatoes. But can we just say that everything round is not a ring? Like a ring should go on your finger, not bangles that go around your wrist and arms and stuff. I thought that switch from rings to that was fine, but give me some advanced warning, because I'm expecting to see the comic book rings. You've done the gemstones. I call them gemstones. Sorry. You've done those to perfection. Why wouldn't you do the rings as actual rings? I get it though. You've got to have extended range and you've got to have the visuals and all that stuff. So I get it, but I was kind of disappointed with that.
Actually, on paper, wouldn't it be easier to CGI 10 rings than it would be to CGI
It
10
should be.
bangles?
It should be. It's like
10
they wanted
bangle
to add
bricks.
more. Like they're like, here, let's add more and have all this extension and stuff, that kind of fighting and stuff, almost like whip fighting and stuff. That's why I was like, it's fine. It turns out fine, but I was just kind of perplexed. Another problem I want to say is like, you mean to tell me his best friend who can't do squat fighting wise and stuff lands the kill shot? She's like better than Hawkeye, better than Kate Bishop. She just bam nails in it. That's too hokey lucky. Like that, I would expect to see that, pun intended, in a Disney kids movie. You know what I mean? I would expect to see that in like a little kids movie or something, but not in a movie that's pulled from the comics.
Okay, for that, I will have to do one small nudge. I've seen all the feedback that everybody hates about her doing a kill shot, but I do have to add one thing that we were taught when I first got to the rifle range in boot camp. So of course, being from northern Florida, which is pretty much southern Georgia, which which is the South, a lot of the people in the area, um, went shooting, went hunting. So they were used to having a rifle by the time they were 6 or 7.
Right.
When we went to boot camp in South Carolina, all of the Billy Joe Bobs were completely used to picking up a rifle. Me being from the city, never. However, there was a technique of how the Marine Corps wanted you to hold the weapon. And Billy Joe Bob, they never learned how to do that when they were with their uncles and granddad and dad growing up.
Right.
So when they had to do the technique this way versus when I had to do it for the first time, I got better scores than they did because they had to unlearn what they already knew.
All right.
So technically, the people who said people who were training for months should have been able to hit the kill shot better than her, I say probably. If there's a tech, it's also possible for beginner's luck and technique wise, and you gotta get out of your head, and it could happen. It's possible. It could happen.
I guess I'll give her this. You're in a mythical village. So let's say your heart is in the right place. And then the forces that be are like, well, we'll make this one shoot straight because she's in this for the right reason. We'll just kind of put a mythical spin on it. Everybody should be happy with that.
Exactly. However, let me add to this because I don't want to give 100% Aquafina fanboy.
A pass.
Yeah. So whenever you have the funny character, the comic relief, what have you, there's a formula of how it needs to work, especially from the start when you say they have no skills. If you at the beginning say, hey, this person is just funny, they don't have any interest, they don't have any hobbies, their job is just to make you laugh and go out and drink and whatever else, then you have to end it a certain way or have this person miss it from the third act because the third act is serious. When you put this person in the third act and they survive, that's already problem one to the normal formula, which I guess if you want to say, oh, they aren't doing a formula. But okay, fine. Let's not do the normal formula. There's still a way you have to do it. if you're gonna tell me that this person who has no skills and no hobbies, all of a sudden they land a kill shot, okay, I'll defend that like I did. But you got to treat it a certain way. You can't have her in the movie 100% the whole time. You got to remove her. You got to make it serious. For her to go from funny to serious, just kind of, it was just kind of clunky and weird. But it's definitely a different way of doing the comic relief. It's like they just didn't want to. It's like they wanted to keep the Aquafina fans the whole time, and they didn't know what to do with her. And
Okay.
I think it was clunky the way they did that.
At least she didn't like back into a fire and her butt was on fire and she's like, oh, and lets go of the arrow, and lands the kill shot. And you're like, what? Another problem would be Wu and Abomination. Why? Why are they, wasn't Wu like straight laced?
No. He was corrupted by the end of Doctor Strange. So remember, he convinced Doctor Strange to the whole thing, the whole thing at the end. The whole reason Wu helped him is because Wu started helping him is because first Doctor Strange convinced him to listen to Beyonce, and he was straight laced at the beginning, but by the end, not so much. But
he's like fight fixing.
Yeah. But I'll do you one better. What is Wu's job?
Isn't he supposed to be a protector?
Okay, so why wasn't Wu there?
He's night off, weekend rotations with somebody.
But with that inkling, we could also have the same exact problem in Eternals, but that's neither here nor there.
I have a feeling that would be like an hour-long problems list if we did that movie. I have a feeling. Oh my goodness. Abomination. Why? Why is he there?
I didn't understand that one either because
reasons.
He's not, just reasons. They needed to find somebody, and they said, "Hey, how about this person that you guys haven't seen before the MCU started, and who has nothing to do with mystical,
nothing to do with anything in this whole thing."
And last time we checked, he was a super bad guy. But hey, let's just have him here.
Let's just shoehorn him in. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Reasons. Yeah.
Seems legit. Like I said, the sister just being a savant, and stuff. That was a huge problem for me. Just I'm like, oh, okay, so all right, I'll take that in consideration when I'm putting together the new Avengers. There was there was some weirdness in there. Any other key ones that we should bring up problem wise?
Too much Trevor slattery and the butt face creature. We
I
already
didn't sleep right after that.
We already had comic relief. We had 100% all through the movie. We had comic relief, so we didn't need a double dose helping of comic relief.
Turn it up to 11, they always say.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, they could have had him. I mean, they actually didn't need him, period. But they could have just had a short scene of him, telling them how to get there or something, how to find the place or whatever. But that whole long drug out ordeal, I was like, okay, all right, interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anything else we've missed to discuss?
Do you want to speculate on the post-credit scene and what exactly that meant?
Yeah, we can. What did you think it was about?
I mean, obviously it's a sequel hook, but I mean, are they just saying it's just? I mean, we already knew the rings were alien in nature, so I don't get why they needed to. I don't get what that whole thing was about.
I wonder if someone's going to come try to obtain them, and this is going to be the new MacGuffin that they can build the next Avengers around or something. Do you think that's plausible?
Maybe.
And they're like,
Maybe.
"Oh, I can't stop him by myself. I'm gonna need to team up with these other people." And here's the
I
all-star cast: my best friend, my sister, and Woo, and Abomination.
and, and then there's speculation on why the Hulk was in a cast, and he was Bruce Banner, not the Hulk.
Right. That made no sense to me whatsoever. I was like, wasn't the whole idea for him to come to terms and an agreement with the Hulk and kind of combine the two people but stay in Hulk form? Wasn't that the whole agreement
Correct.
that we built up over 2 movies? But okay.
And then we see and I, much as I hate to be spoiled for watching trailers for a different property, we already know that he's Bruce Banner in She-Hulk. So
Oh yeah, yeah. We saw that
so
trailer.
it's
Yeah.
so I have no idea what's going on with the timeline on that.
So Loki, we'll blame Loki. It's a multiverse.
Yeah,
Something to do with
always
the
blame
multiverse.
Loki.
Yes.
And then
Loki's fault.
And then I never thought the sister was a hero or character. So I thought the end when she was in charge, I was always thinking to myself, just from the start, she was resentful of him. I mean,
Mhm.
she helped the villagers, but it didn't seem like there was a hero's journey for her or any reckoning. So I didn't understand why he didn't check her just to say, hey, like
You're not gonna
that's a person you have your eye on, is a person resentful of you who grudgingly helps people. Like, that's the Loki of the situation. Like, you make
right.
sure that you don't turn your back on this person, and that's exactly what he did. And now she's in charge of the dynasty, so to speak. So we'll see.
And the 10 rings, it's not like they're like, wow, we went into this mystical village, so now we're all good.
Yeah.
We take back all those murders, you know. It's like, no, you guys are probably keep murdering people.
Yeah, and
So good
also,
point.
to be fair, the 10 Rings, they have their hands full being a secret organization alongside Hydra and alongside Hydra, the Hand, and the Black Widow Network. I mean, there's a lot of secret organizations that have to share the limelight. And so they got to keep their 25% of the
Oh
world.
my gosh. That is outstanding. That is outstanding.
Hey, are you in charge of World War II? No, the Hydra is. Okay, who's in charge of World War One? Actually, that's gonna be the Hand shared with 10 Rings. Okay.
All
Like, who's
right,
in
stay in
charge of
your
what?
lane, man. Well, do you want to dole out our ratings?
Why don't you go first?
Oh, you're putting the pressure on me. I, it's a tale of two ideas. I'm just going to be honest. Because when I left the movie, I was like, this was so much fun and it was so nostalgic for me from flipping the comic pages and I was just so I had so many blinders on. I was just overlooking everything. You know what I mean? Like I was overlooking all the problems and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that was so much fun. It was just what it was supposed to be, a spectacle and blah blah blah. And then as the days went on, I was like, that was kind of weird that his best friend landed that kill shot and and his sister kicked his butt and he didn't really defeat his dad. That big monster did. And, I was just like, wait a minute. He really didn't do anything. He hardly did anything but forgiveness. Forgiveness is trumping all. So, and I was like, I like the dad's story better than his, but I think at the end of the day, with all the problems that I mentioned and stuff, I think I've got to kind of dial it down a bit and just be honest. I don't think it was quite a 7. I'm going to give it a 6.5.
I am going to go down to a 6.
I figured you would.
I it's I get what it was trying to do, and I think it did it well. But on the grand scheme of things, when you look at the rest of the movies and what they accomplished and the hero's journey, it's you're saying, hey, this is a different Marvel hero and the first of his kind, and whatever, and we're changing the status quo. You got to do it well, and especially to bring that all the way, 5 months later into Saturday Night Live and still be talking about how he's the first. Well, not 4 months, 3 months later into Saturday Night Live and talk about how he's the first of his kind and having skits based around him being the first Asian superhero. Like, that's a lot of pressure. You got to do it a certain way, and there's so many better ways that they could have done it. Have a real hero's journey. Have him actually be competent,
Right.
and so if not a 5.5, a 6 is being generous.
Yeah. Yes. And Marvel's got to start backing away from all these hyperbole. You know what I mean? Like they continue to do the first this and the first that. We just want good stories.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
as a black man, I can identify with a good story. I don't care what the main character looks like, sounds like, anything. I just don't. I want a good story. And if we can get grounded and back into good storytelling, the rest is going to work itself out. I just think that's where we need to get it with these movies. Because I'm starting to have some concerns because they're going so far trying to say they're doing this, that, and the other, that it's kind of getting to a point where it's like they're just trying to check a box or something. And I don't want them to do that. I want them to do what you did in phase 1 and phase 2, where you brought characters to life and told outstanding stories. And right now they're just like, we'll bring a character to life and we're telling something. We're going to tell something. So that's any final thoughts?
It's I have no problem with that assessment. Full disclosure, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
I'm sorry.
Go Jaguars. Go Jaguars. We're going to have a very great game against the Rams today. And so, by great, I mean, certain fans will have a good time. And let's say they did a thing where they wanted to display a person from every state down the road. They have 50 whatever. You don't have to do that. We don't want to know anybody from Georgia. We don't need to. If they just happen to be from Georgia, great. But when you say, hey, let's make sure to have somebody from Georgia, that's the difference. Like the story, like, I hate Georgia clearly, but
my friend Lori's watching going, what?
Go Gators. I hate Georgia. So there's a difference between just putting the movie out first and then the background comes along, or saying, hey, make sure we do this, and then the story follows. There's a difference.
Yes.
And so, have a good story, and then say the character's from Georgia. Don't make a character from Georgia from the start. Say, we need to have a character from Georgia because Georgia characters are terrible. And so
looks like you'll be rooting for Michigan in this college football playoff with me. Yeah, let's go.
Let it
beat
be
Georgia.
Let it be Georgia. The story, like you already said, though, the story is the important thing. The hyperbole, it doesn't
tell the story. We'll figure out all the rest. You know what was the best example of this? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. One day, I was just podcasting away with Alex going, man, I love Melinda May. I love Quake. Wait a minute. They're all women. It like just was an epiphany. It wasn't something that they shoehorned in on me or something. It just happened. They told great stories. And I was like, the best characters on the series are all women. It just worked out that way. It was amazing storytelling and stuff. I had friends that they were like, who do you think would win if, Melinda fought Black Widow, and if you know all this stuff. I'm like, Melinda should kick everybody's butt, man. The Hulk better sit down. And stuff. So, you know, you tell a good enough story, you start to build that kind of following. And that's all you got to do is just tell a great story, and people will they'll get it. We'll get it. We're pretty smart. Even though I'm from Michigan, I'm smart. I got me an education.
No, I mean the story, but to be fair, you know, they did need they need to check off that last box. So they checked it off. Now maybe we can just go forward and just
every
about
movie
the stories
forward
first.
should just be a story. Doesn't have to be the first this or the first that or anything. Just tell the story and we'll get it. Tell a
Yeah,
good enough
like,
story, we'll get it.
and you know, you have to when you just like when you put out this podcast, you can't say the first successful Jacksonville Jaguars fan. You have to.
I have the #1 podcast in the thumb of Michigan. It's like, wow, yes, yeah, historic. Wow.
All right, I think we might have hammered that point home.
Yeah. We have jumped the proverbial shark, as it were. But thank you so much, Mel, for joining me on this. I appreciate the honesty on this because it is easy to get into these Marvel properties and to just be happy we're getting stuff. As same with Star Wars, but we still have to put on the critical lenses, and we still have to be honest and say this worked, this didn't. And that is what we call open dialogue, and that should make for better properties going forward. That's what it should do. You know, if people can take constructive feedback, like I have over the years, over my almost 16 years podcasting, and now onto YouTube and stuff, I take critical feedback and I try to make changes based on it when necessary, and it just makes for a better product. That's all. So thank you, Mel. And Mel, are you gonna be doing the Flash reviews coming up more
I am
on our
that.
YouTube channel?
I am doing a new episode literally in 7 minutes.
Oh, fantastic. Join Mel. Subscribe to the TPE Network channel, YouTube channel, and join Mel on his Flash recaps if you're into the CW content stuff, because Mel's doing a great job with those. So thanks, Mel. All right. Well, what did you at home think about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings? You can hit us up at feedback@tpenetwork.com. You can email us, or you can head to the website, tpenetwork.com, and just click that little contact button and leave your voice or written message right on the website. We would love to hear your thoughts and give us your own rating. What did you give it? You think it was a 10? You think it was a 5? Whatever. We love good discussion. But for Mel, I'm Hank. Until next time, we're signing off.
TPE Network. There ain't nothing else like it.